cold.
Incredible.
My hands are freezing, man.
Dude, I need to just carry a thermal blanket around.
No, my hands are the only thing that gets cold. My hands take forever to dry. Like, they just go straight white.
You're like a smoker that doesn't smoke.
Dude, I tell you, bro. My dad has the same thing. My dad's hands go really straight white. His take like 4 hours to like unthaw. Mine take about the same amount.
That's incredible.
If I don't throw them in hot water, they take hours. Like I'm being serious. Like they'll still be cold. They'll still be cold. Stupid.
It's gotta be a pill for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank members of the American Legion Post 11 for providing colors for today's game. Now in honor of our flag and our country, and in recognition of those who serve and protect it. We ask that our big rise beautiful headward turn your attention to those stars and stripes on the floor. And join us in the singing of our national anthem, performed tonight by the Maverick Machine.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. You are tuning in live for another stream of men's basketball here on the NBA Network. I'm Brian Kelly, and as usual, I'm joined alongside my partner, Jordan O'Grady. Jordan, how you doing, my friend?
Doing quite well, Brian. How are you tonight?
Dude, I'm just looking to see if Minnesota State can bounce back from that lackadaisical effort that they showed last night, but they got another tough test, and they're facing a top 10 scorer in the nation in Ryan Brugman. So let's see what they can do with that.
Yeah, another big challenge tonight in Brugman. Last night, for the first 10 minutes of the game, they did a pretty decent job, at least defensively, defending Gieber and Trayvon Evans. But by the end of that game, Evans and Gieber had 27 and 18 respectively. So the team and proverbial wagon wheels fell off last night as the game went on, and Matt Margenthaler had it out with the officials, players, not hitting open shots, not making the normal routine plays that they're used to making. And yeah, they got another good challenge tonight and another conference opponent that, like I mentioned last night, each conference game gets more and more important here, and each one adds a little another wrinkle or a little another layer to how the outcome and how the postseason tournament play is going to go. And after last night's loss, me and you were talking about how if Sioux Falls gets a win here in their next game and things pan out right, it could be a four-way tie for the first spot in just the South Division, not even the North Division of the conference. So things both are getting tight and teams are getting into the heart of it, and another tall task. And let's see, like you said, how Minnesota State decides to rebound tonight.
As we're getting a little bit closer to the heart of that conference schedule, this is going to be a big game, as these two teams won't face each other till mid-February. And this is, or excuse me, they won't. We talk about Wayne State because that was the game. They won't face Wayne State till end of mid-February, so that could be something in the South Division. But these two teams faced off on back in December, and I believe it was the 7th, as Minnesota State took that one in Marshall, 75-67. But we'll see what's going on here, as these 2 point guards in Brugman and McLeod. This is going to be a very key matchup on how they're going to respond to one another, because they're both the same size. Brugman's just built a little bit up on top more than McLeod, as Minnesota State wins the tip, and they'll take the first offensive possession. And back-to-back misses for McLeod, and Minnesota State will come up, or excuse me, Southwest Minnesota State will come up with the basketball.
Yeah, Southwest started in a 2-3, kind of what Sioux Falls transferred into last night. That's an easy basket there.
There's Brugman right away.
Brugman, yeah.
Brugman making
Speak of the devil.
Making a statement, as he's averaging 23.5 points per game, and that's quite something to be ecstatic about, especially from your point guard.
Yeah, I mean, a guy that can do it all in terms of scoring as well really makes him quite versatile. And that's a nice hard take by Nixon to the rim. And that's something that wasn't completed at a high percentage, as Minnesota shot a 22.3 field goal percentage last night at the end of the game.
And one of the things is, Nixon's kind of had a little bit of a tough stretch at home. When he plays at home, he doesn't do as well on the offensive side until he goes away. I don't know what the deal is, but that's one of his first buckets we've seen from him in quite some time at home.
Yeah, a nice move to get to the rim as well. And you know, when you look at this Mavericks team here, you look at all the players on it, all the names and the really good players, as Anderson gets a good job of fighting through that to get the illegal screen. But back to what I was saying is, there's so many key players in Anderson, Kirksey, now Krieger returning to the lineup, McLeod, and very important role guys like Aaron Holes and Carter Ashak come off the bench. I mean, I can see it being hard for someone to find their niche or their role. And sometimes, you know, it's a Nixon night, if you will, where he's got to pick up some slack from somewhere else. Or, you know, he kind of just does his thing, makes good decisions with the ball, finds the open people, and has the ability, as we saw there a couple possessions ago, to get to the rim and lay it in nicely. So he's a kind of a Swiss Army knife, and kind of be plugged in or do just his thing, just enough on any given night for the Mavericks.
As the Apple Valley native gets hacked, and he'll shoot 2. And the first one drops, and that was the thing. Early on in the game, Minnesota State saw the free throw percentage absolutely skyrocketed as they made their first 7 in a row, and then it all went downhill as they shot roughly about 70% from the stripe, which is below their average. And there's Brugman, as he takes it to the rack, and he gets fouled by Krieger as he'll go to the line for 2.
Yeah, Coach Matt Margenthaler already letting the officials have it. You could hear him all the way up here on the concourse. No way on that call. Seems a little high-strung comparatively to the first half of this season. Does he not? I mean, maybe it was a vacation for me and I didn't pay much attention to him on the sideline, but...
No, I
maybe
think
the bolts are tightening up on him too here.
I actually think you might be right, considering he got teed up last night. As there's a little bit of a goaltend controversy. We're not going to get into that too much, but I think with what the circumstances were,
Yes.
I think he deserved that technical foul, and I think if you ask him, he won't regret that.
No, and just like kind of in football, technicals and those coaches getting the flags can sometimes motivate a team, even though it does put a detriment to your efforts at that given moment. But back to what I was saying earlier about what Southwest Minnesota State's coming right out of the gates and doing is what Sioux Falls ended up doing for most of the game after they figured out is they're going to make you beat them from the outside. They're playing a 2-3, packing it down with Anderson. Anderson makes a nice play there to force Brugman out of bounds. But to force Anderson and Kirksey and Krieger and those guys, they're going to really make them work for those stuff in the lane and box it in, and hopefully McLeod and Carter Ash and Aaron Holes and those guys that can really take set from outside the arc can step up. But last night, it really didn't help their efforts. That the majority of the team was pretty much ice cold.
Yeah, and they shot a season low, like you said, 22%, and they only put up 46 points and only 20 in that first half. So that's something that they keep looking. And Minnesota State will stick with the basketball here as the shot clock reset, and we'll see what's going on here.
I know I'm not trying to jump too far ahead, but it already just feels different. They're chasing these loose balls out of bounds. Kirksey did a great job right there, number 21 for the Mavericks, just to get a tip on it to hit it off the foot as it trickled out of bounds. Those are those little things. They're going to the rim hard right here. Deflected pass, but McLeod's making those hard 2-dribble drives, looking to dish, looking to score early. A little just more characteristic, if you will.
As Michael Lee comes back into the ball game, we're going to see as they go a little bit of a weirder set as Anderson will get it, but he came up with it, and they're going to call a travel on him. I guess you could say that was a travel just because he didn't fully gain possession of the ball. But I mean, if you take a look here, it was just not that big of a deal, in my opinion. That
it almost looked like the little James Harden two-step he gets away with, or as some people say, gets in the NBA.
Well, I mean, Steph Curry tried to do it, and he didn't really get
Yeah.
And he got called for it, and he was asking, and he put up the number 13, and that they still weren't having it. As the bucket drops there for Southwest Minnesota State. McLeod for 3 at the top of the key. That won't go.
Kind of just an off-base shot there, floating forward, staggered feet. Not necessarily just good shot mechanics on that one.
Oh, and that's as smooth as butter.
Yeah, right on cue, just as talking about shot mechanics. Boy, look at that one right there by Brugman. Just beautiful.
Just the touch. I mean, he's just got a beautiful stroke, as he's got 6 of the first 8 points for the Mustangs. And that foul that's the 3rd already for Southwest Minnesota State.
Yeah, we talked about, sorry, Brian. We talked about that last night. The fouls, too, that was something. Both teams last night were 17.5 and 18, and not a lot of fouls are coming. We didn't see the bonus.
No.
I don't believe, did we?
No, and Brugman with a wonderful crossover there to get the bucket, and he's almost in double digits already.
Silky is the word that comes to mind. It's just so smooth and effortless.
And it's a quick 10-4 lead, and to start with 4 minutes already gone here in the first. Here's Kirksey, pull-up jumper from the corner there, and that gets it to fall as Kirksey's got himself 5 quick points.
Yeah, and when those shots fall for the guys like Kirksey and Anderson, that helps get a team out of just sitting in a 2-3. It's going to make you respect you more as that 3 or 4 guy forward. And you saw on that last possession, Southwest Minnesota State, when the ball goes down in the low post, they're doubling down right away. And that's a beautiful call by the official as Brugman tried to get a little sneaky there with the forearm shiver, and the ref in perfect position to see it. And I don't think Coach Matt Margenthaler is going to not let him call that, as he was right behind the official.
And I'm pretty sure you could expect Ryan Brugman to play the majority of this game as I say that, he takes a seat, and of course.
Yeah, this will be a few of his minutes that he'll sit.
He'll average about 32, 33 minutes a game, and that in itself is quite astonishing in today's age where when you see Matt Margenthaler, you rarely get guys going over 26, 27 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely a workhorse for that team, and kind of when teams, I don't want to say that their guard play is necessarily bad or anything after Brugman, but it's certainly not up to the level and at the efficiency rate that Brugman can carry this Mustangs offense around with.
As that media timeout will there, Kenny Byers gets fouled right before the media timeout. And it's just a little, like you said, it's a little bit different intensity so far as they've got 9 points, as it took Minnesota State quite a long time. It wasn't until there's 11 minutes left in that first half to get 9 points.
Yeah. It was a very difficult outing last night, and you see it's quite a simple thing that fixes this is you make those shots that you normally make. You know, that pull-up three, they're getting the ball down low, and give credit to the Mustangs right now. They're doing a great job of collapsing when that ball enters that low post there, and they really want to make it difficult. But one thing you'll see is that backside guard is coming down to help when they double down, and that's leaving those corner shooters wide open. So don't be surprised if you start seeing the Margenthaler and staff start to kind of dial up something that looks similar but a little different to get the ball to that open shooter. Because when you're in a 2-3 zone, the one thing that beats any kind of zone is ball movement. Getting them moving side to side as much as possible, get them out of position, creates those drive-in lanes, and guys like McLeod, Nixon, and Anderson can have a field day. And then, of course, all else fails, dump it off to Kirksey, as he's, we know, pretty monstrous under there finding the ball through the hoop. So that's the recipe right now, and it's working somewhat well.
I wonder if Minnesota State starts figuring out the dribble drive and just working it into the lane, that I wonder if Southwest Minnesota State is going to have any inkling to go to that zone because they know Minnesota State struggles that much.
Yeah, I mean, if you definitely look at the recent, especially last night, and I'm sure they got to watch our stream last night, so they were able to have that firsthand knowledge and see exactly what worked. Because Sioux Falls, their game plan was outstanding. Because we know it was a bad game for the Mavericks, but we know they're a very talented group of young men out there on the floor. And they came in and kind of gave them a surprise. Baumgartner checks into the game for the first time, and Aaron holds two shooters out there as Krieger gets his first minutes too.
As Kirksey's free throw line jumper is no good. Krieger with a nice defensive play to take that away from Byers.
Yeah, it's nice to see out of the guy just trying to get his feet back under him, so to speak, here. As last night he was back in the lineup, actually had some pretty decent minutes, wasn't able to find a lot of scoring out of him, but, you know, he did his best he could and helped out that Maverick defense.
And that's nice active hands there by Quincy Anderson with 9 to shoot. Byers against Baumgartner. Byers pull up three. Nothing but net.
Yeah, it's always a bit deflating when you have something like that there. Play great defense that whole possession, and they put up a contested three ball and it goes through. Always a little bit heartbreaking for the defensive effort.
And as I said that, they were almost playing, and there's Krieger's pull-up jumper. That falls. They were basically playing a 2-3 zone when they came out of that little timeout there, and it somewhat worked. I mean, Kirksey just found that little opening, and then luckily enough, Krieger found got the steal, and there was an easy bucket, and they just came right out of it.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was just talking a little bit about, how you get the ball movement around the outside of the arc here, and that gets those guards moving side to side. But when you get that ball into the high post area right at the foul line, that really makes those guards have to collapse inwards, which gives more space to find openings for the three-ball shooters. And like I said, it's ball movement is a killer to any good zone defense. If you can move the ball well, crisp, and efficiently, something's going to open up eventually just from the nature of what you're doing. But getting guys many touches here and keeping it moving, a little stagnant with the ball movement here, but they're doing a little bit better job.
Kirksey's wing three, no good. That'll rattle in and out. Brought down by number 20, Taylor Schaefer.
Multiple shots tonight that have just been almost exactly on point, but get a piece of the rim and bounce right back out.
And the Mustangs come into this ball game with an 8-7 record, dropping 3 straight, as they started out pretty well and pretty much above expectations. As Byers' three is short, goes off the front of the rim, brought down by Quincy Anderson. Bumgarner, shot fake in the corner. And that's an easy layup for number 13, and that's another guy they need to get going off the bench.
Yeah, that's a great job by Bumgarner, not just settling for that contested jumper, but realizing that the Mustangs defender, Brendan Hansen, had his back turned and was able to get right to the rim before he could even turn around and contest that. And a brick off the right side of the rim by Schaefer, and Bumgarner going back the other way quickly.
And here's Bumgarner with the drive. He'll go to the line shooting 2.
Good little 2-possession, 3-possession swing for Bumgarner. Comes in, gets a nice easy take, a good job on the defensive end, going back the other way, and gets to the line. You got to be pleased with that bench performance right away.
And this is the second and third free throw attempts from the line here tonight. The first one will rattle home, as he got a little friendly bounce there, as Kirksey will finally take a seat at the 12-10 mark, along with Krieger. Anderson and Carter Ash are into the ball game now, as Anderson is the only starter out there on the floor.
Yeah, you can already see through last night and tonight, head coach Margenthaler is keeping him on an interval kind of base time. He'll come in and go 3-4 minutes, get a breather, and that's going to obviously keep incrementally increasing here as we go on.
As that jumper will fall.
I mean, how do you stop it? He's just so pure with the shot.
I don't think you can. And there they go back to that 2-3 zone, something that Minnesota State does struggle with, as they find themselves up by 1, and there's a turnover.
You know, he had the right read there, Quincy, but just a very poor pass to get it. He saw the skip pass wide open, and it's what I spoke about earlier, but kind of threw it on a line and didn't get to where it needed to be.
As Brugman's shot goes off the mark and out of bounds. Carlos Anderson almost touched it, so he was really lucky that he didn't get it, because that was just out of his reach. And here is Bumgarner ready to set up the offense against this 2-3 zone.
Even just getting a touch in there somehow to Anderson will make a world of a difference from the high post.
Quincy Anderson normally makes those, as he had a nice look there from three-pointer, but that offensive rebound by Bumgarner will get a fresh 30. Anderson with a nice drive. That comes up short.
Yeah, that was good defense by number 50 there, Colin Bartlett, as he was able to contest that shot and force it wide.
And here is Anderson at the top of the key with 20 to shoot. And he'll take that one into the lane, and he'll draw the foul and go to the line for 2.
Doing a great job now. They're really doing a good job. And you saw what happened. There's two things are going to happen when you get the ball in the high post there against this 2-3 defense. Either that guard's going to step down and collapse, or you're going to have essentially a little one-on-one matchup going to the rim as Anderson knocks down the front end of the 2. And you saw that he got that one-on-one matchup, and good defense there by Bartlett to drive him outside of the lane. But they're getting what they want. They just got to get a couple more as they start falling here.
As Anderson goes perfect from the line, 2 for 2. Here's Brugman, far side. Pull-up jumper, no good. Ash with the board, kicks it out to Bumgarner.
Great defense by Bumgarner there.
Anderson's little jump hook, no good. Brought down by Byers. He'll put it up to Brugman. Brugman looks outside, drive, kick out. And finds the big fella. And they thought that was a block by Quincy Anderson, but it turns out it'll be a foul, as Bartlett will go to the line for 2.
Yeah, they're going to get him with the body. At first, that was a clean block, but he came in and made a lot of contact behind. See how quickly the Mustangs move the ball up the court. 2 passes, and they're already attacking the rim. That's a very effective transition offense right there. That's what it's kind of, you haven't seen a whole lot of out of Minnesota State as of late. Maybe it's just kind of what they're going with offensively there. They're not trying to fly out fast break transition all the time, but a little bit of that could go a long way too. If you beat them back, there's no setting up a 2-3 zone.
as he goes over from the line, does Bartlett, brought down by Ash, and here come the Mavericks. And there will be a timeout called, or whistle, excuse me, from the corner as Carlos Anderson is getting talked to by the referee, as it looked like there was some jawing going on with Anderson in the bench. As a media timeout is the 3 seconds under the halfway point here. I'm still not sure what that was called for. I think it was just a little bit of a warning here.
Yeah, I'm unsure, but I think you're right. It might have been someone on the bench saying something.
And I'm very confused. I think we'll just drop it now.
Yeah. Sometimes the best thing in life to do is just move on.
Exactly. But as a start here, I'd like to say the field goal percentage for Southwest Minnesota State is 43%, and that's roughly about what Minnesota State will give up on a regular basis. But that field goal percentage is still very low at 33%.
Yeah, not quite sure what's up, if they're just in a shooting slump or what. But over the course so far today and last night, they're just not making those shots that they normally make. And I know it's always a 50-50 chance, right? But nonetheless, they're just struggling in general. They're getting looks, and they're doing a much better job than they were last night at getting the looks. But they're just not seeming to fall at a high rate.
Coming out of this timeout, both teams have all 4 of their timeouts, and the fouls are 6-4 in favor of Southwest Minnesota State. But we'll see what they come out here in that 2-3 zone, if they're going to continue to stick with that, as it's had some success so far early on.
Yeah, I mean, one thing, too, looking here is that they haven't missed a free throw yet, so that's always encouraging. Keep that up, and a few shots going on, and about to be, or excuse me, I thought they were going to be in the bonus. And if you get in the bonus, you're in a good position.
With 15 to shoot, Bumgarner pump fakes. Bumgarner again. Now this time he'll pull the trigger, and that one won't even hit rim.
Yeah, I think it threw him off to a little bit of an errant pass. He had to reach out and try to bring it back in real quick on that shot, and might have threw his motion off just a little bit there.
And as I like to point out, there's a lot bigger attendance here tonight as there was last night, and I think this game fits into a lot of people's plans. It's early enough, but at the same time, it's late enough. At 5:30
Right.
start time, you can still have a night to yourselves. As we got home last night, probably at about 10 o'clock is when I got home. I went to go grab some Chipotle, but hey, whatever. It is what it is.
Yeah, I only had to be up at 5:30, but that's all right.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine.
I know. I'm a growing kid. That's a nice putback there by Jamal.
Nixon. And here's Byers looking to put pressure on that defense, and in fact he does, as the foul on Nixon. And here's Byers to go back to the line for 2. This is his 3rd and 4th attempts from the line.
He has seemed to be the man that Brugman, has been able to find when he gets down there and they collapse on him. He's had multiple opportunities, knocked down a couple from outside the arc, and found his way, as he said, to the free throw line multiple times tonight. Quite obviously has a lot of faith in his ability to get the ball through.
And Byers will make both, and he will get subbed out right away. And now comes in Michael Lee. And I like the intensity so far. I mean, it might have to do with maybe Matt Margenthaler saying something to the guys last night about the intensity, as they've already surpassed their halftime total from last night.
Sometimes you need that rude awakening, and you got to be thankful the fact that it's not in a one-and-done situation, but sometimes that wake-up call knowing that you can be beaten by anyone every night, as that was just another not-so-great 3-ball by Bumgarner there.
And to me, it doesn't look like they're trying to look inside. There's not a lot of movement.
You're exactly right. It's very stagnant offense. 1, 2, maybe 3 passes, and then a shot goes up. That was a well done by Schaefer, getting to the lane, and that turnaround jumper there.
As the Mustangs retake the lead here. with 8:15 to go. Anderson, middle of the lane jumper, that one falls.
And that's a good job of recognizing the space he had right away and no hesitation, catch and shoot. That was a very good job by Anderson.
As Brugman's arid pass, and that'll go off, I believe, Anderson. Or not.
No.
I think they got they got away with one.
That was certainly 50-50 there. I would make a case that is the wrong call, but I won't because I'm a homer.
You can't be a homer there.
Oh, well.
That's not what they pay us to do, right?
Hey, where?
I'm just kidding. I'm only kidding. We do this for the job. We do this for the experience.
Absolutely.
It's all fun and games. And I just love there. I mean, hey, like we said last night, everybody in the stands knows better than the referees, right?
It's true.
Here's McLeod with a nice drive, and that goes off the window and in.
There they are, and it's kind of funny to say, but really the source of the problems is just scoring. They're doing so many things right, and I hate to keep sounding down, but if they can just score, this wouldn't even really be a contest right now.
As Schaefer's layup goes off the mark, brought down by Nixon. And that's a nice defensive play there by number 22, Lee.
Yeah, Krieger kind of got caught in between what move to do, and he put it right off the inside of his foot.
Wow, Brugman's fadeaway jumper is on right now.
Yeah, that is really exactly what I was going to say. I mean, it's everything he's putting up right now is going through. Great job by Brugman so far.
As he's already got 14 points and is the game-high scorer. McLeod deep three gets that one to go. And that was much needed for McLeod to get him out of the slump.
Anything I can do,
Anything you can do, I can do better.
There we go. Oh, backwards there,
you're
that
fine.
one.
Nobody's judging you.
Except everyone.
You're fine. Brugman, another pull-up jumper, and he gets that one to go with authority.
Unreal. He's got the touch.
And I just love I love the passion he plays with right now. I mean, no offense. I know you're supposed to be neutral, but I love the way this guy plays. Plays with a lot of intensity, a lot of grit. And when he does something well, he'll let you know.
Yeah, and it's kind of what you get with that. And not only does he score well on the offensive side, as we obviously can see, he puts in extra effort on the down low too, and he's able, or on the defensive side, excuse me.
And Brugman will drive here on Kirksey, but Kirksey might have got a piece on that one. That didn't go, but the put back by Bartlett will.
Yeah, the Mustangs, they all really know their role, and they're not trying to do too much, not one of them, and they really fit into exactly what is asked of them.
As they got that lead decreased down to 2, and there's Carlos Anderson as he gets a 3 to rattle home.
Here we go. This is just what the doctor ordered for the Mavericks. Get that 3 ball going. Get them out of there, unbunch them up out of the middle, and it gives you many better looks and more opportunities.
And one of the things I noticed early in the game, but I haven't brought it up, is Bartlett in that knee brace. I mean, I don't know exactly what type of injury he's got on, but maybe he's had some surgery in the past or what, but I don't know. To me, if he's probably got a little bit of a mobility issue, so why aren't you kind of going after him a little bit?
Well, it's kind of how he fits in, and you can see what they run defensively and offensively when he's in the game. A lot of screens through the low block, a lot of baseline cuts, 2-3 zone. He's a big body, and that's tough, and you saw what he did a little bit ago when Anderson tried to drive down the right side of the lane. So big and beat him to the spot, able to really force a layup that just barely touched the glass there, and they do a good job of utilizing his strengths.
As Brugman's shot won't go, brought down by Nixon, and he'll push.
That didn't go in.
Anderson's corner jumper won't fall. Here's Byers looking to push, one-on-one versus McLeod. Kirksey coming in to help. No, Byers gets his own miss.
See, that's what happens too when it's really quick shots offensively. You got guys that aren't
6.7%. He's 8 for 12 from the field. That's unreal. That is unreal shooting percentage. As Kirksey's fade away from the block is good.
Yeah, good job. They're getting all these second chance points right now. Making it really tough to get to the rim are the Mustangs. There's at least a little bit of contact and double team at most times.
And he's got 20.
What have we been talking about here? 3 quick passes along the top, back to the center point guard there at the top. Saw the opening, threw it right in, and Kirksey got that one-on-one matchup. The 2 wing defenders in the 2-3, nowhere to be found, and goes up and gets fouled and finds himself shooting 2.
If you're Coach Brad Bigler right now for Southwest Minnesota State, you gotta like where you're at right now in this ball game, especially with how other guys are shooting right now. I know you got Byers 1 for 6, Schaefer 1 for 4, but you got Brugman, and he's exactly what's keeping you in this ball game right now with 20 points, and he's the game high as of right now. We'll see what that one ends up to be, but without him, I don't think you'd be in the position that you are down by 3 with 2:50 to go.
And no, and you're absolutely right with that. And another thing too is as a whole game, it's kind of like, it's going to be a racing analogy if you don't understand it. In big, long NASCAR races, drivers do what they kill laps. Just there are a lot of laps, get them done. And it's kind of what the Mustangs are doing right now. Just kill some minutes, keep it close in striking distance. And like you said, you got a guy like Brugman, you got it within a 1-2 possession game with a couple minutes left. You're in business, and you got to be nervous each possession if you're the Mavericks, if that becomes the fruition. But right now, staying right in the running and taking your time, and you'll do a good job of staying in the game late.
Take it back to the studio at halftime.
And so they're just kind of logging some minutes right now, and they're staying close, and they're doing a good job as much as they can defensively, because they're getting a bit outclassed by the Mavericks athletically down low. The Mavericks certainly have that upper hand there, but the shooting up Brugman and him finding the open outlets along the offensive side of the court is really proven vital.
As Kirksey's first free throw hits the front of the rim. And the Mavericks from the free throw line as of right now are in good shape, as they are 6 for 7 so far. And make that 7 for 8 as Kirksey gets the back end one to fall. With 2:48, Mavericks lead by 4. And here's Brugman. And that's a nice behind the back dribble there to get Nixon dancing. Here's Anderson and Byers going down to the block. Brugman with 10 to shoot. Brugman trying to shake Nixon, but Nixon's right in his grill and brought down by Cameron Kirksey.
Great piece of defense there by Nixon. Nixon recognizing where the shot clock was at and how tight he needed to be. Good job there all around defensively.
And the Mustangs decided to go back to man-to-man defense for the final 3 minutes. Krieger's wing 3 gets that one to go.
You want to talk about a nice touch. Krieger is also a guy that has a very nice touch to his shot. It's nice. This game, the uptake's a little bit more than it was last night, and he's doing a great job so far.
Byers corner jumper, no good.
That was a great job there by number 1, Braden Hansen for the Mustangs. Great find, recognizing the guy collapsing, found the guy far corner, but good job by the Mavericks.
As McLeod is going to take Lee, and one for Jawan McLeod, and he'll go to the line to extend this lead to double digits.
There it is. This is what the Mavericks' final form kind of looks like here. Play stout defense, man defense all the way. Get back quickly, quick touches. McLeod finds the opening, and he's able to shimmy right in there and get to the rim. It's a live ball.
And that one falls short. And here comes Brugman with 1:30 to go. Brugman with an easy walk-in layup.
And they've gone back to that multiple times, is that high ball screen at the top, the center of the arc there. And Brugman so quick off that first step with that dribble, able to get right around that screen. And he uses it so well. He makes that guy have to go through the screen. And right there, he was wide open for that easy lay-in.
And that's not something you want, as Juwan McLeod took a very deep in-the-face three, heavily contested, and that results in a Mustang ball.
You know, it's one of those things with those quick shots like that. If you make them, everything's fine and dandy. But when you do that, sometimes they have a bit more detrimental to them. And
Brugman yet again with another walk-around layup, as he's already got 24 points.
And right there, I think that's just from being out of the lineup for a while. Krieger he hesitated, didn't know if he was staying with the guy, and turned his back briefly to Brugman, and quite honestly, that's not the guy you can do that to, as he took full advantage of it. Still trying to get some of the kinks worked out, and you can just see it in how he plays.
And that's a nice body control there from Juwan McLeod, as the shot clock is turned off here for Southwest Minnesota State, and they're just going to take it here, slow it down to get that final shot. As Dufall is looking at his coach to deciding what to do, and they're just going to give it to Bregman. And Brugman, again, that won't rattle home. Anderson with 4 to shoot, looking for a jumper, kicks it to Krieger at the buzzer.
Yeah.
He gets that one to go. My goodness, Kevin Krieger at the buzzer to give the Mavericks a 10-point lead going into half.
That is huge right there. I was almost going to say right before Brugman took it, if I was a betting man, he was going to be the one that took it. Great defense coming over and helping there to stop that penetration, get that rebound from Anderson. And good job, not just keep going to the rim, but having the wherewithal to look up, see Krieger flashing out of the left corner of his eye, and does a great job of finishing there.
And at the end of the first half, the Mavericks have turned this ball game around. They're up 10, 48-38, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Minnesota State Mankato graduate Jacob Ball has a big idea: become a bilingual family physician serving rural America. As an honors student and varsity athlete, he studied Spanish, biology, and biochemistry. He also volunteered at a Mankato medical clinic and studied in Ecuador. He's now in medical school, one step closer to bringing his big idea to life. Big ideas, real world thinking. Minnesota State Mankato. Go further at mnsu.edu.
The halftime report here. And Jordan, what are some takeaways from that first half?
They're finally starting to convert on their shots. It's quite simplest thing in basketball. You make more shots, you win. But they've stepped up the defense. They're doing as good a job as I think they can. Probably can do a little bit better on Brugman, but he's playing out of his mind right now tonight. And I think that's even an understatement for that. But they're doing a good job of not giving them those second chance opportunities off those offensive rebounds for the Mustangs. They're doing a good job of getting in line. I spoke about it during the game. The ball movement picked up, and I think that was something Coach Morgenthaler was harping on in some of these timeouts. They needed to get that ball moving, and you saw when that ball got moving side to side, they got those quick entry passes. Anderson, Kirksey, and then some of the guys like McLeod able to drive down, get there, make the shot, get the and one, go to the line, and they're starting to convert. And they're doing a good job now. Once they get in there, settling down, recognizing where they are, and knowing the defense has collapsed, and then getting the ball out to their shooters on the edges, and they're converting on those now. So it's a good job so far offensively. The defense has got to stay where it is, if not pick up a little bit more here, as they're still underwhelmingly to the standards, but they have certainly picked it up in the late going there. They shoot at a 48.5% now. Far better results than early on in this game when they're shooting 33 and 22 respectively last night here. So the scoring goes up, and they're staying in position, not committing a lot of fouls either tonight. You know, they were close to the bonus there, but it never really became a factor, and that's really helping. They're shooting a high percentage from the charity stripe, which is going to go a long way down the stretch here, and you're seeing a 10-point spread now, largest of the night. And got to keep getting better here. Keep doing those things under the basket. Keep getting to the rim and moving the ball well. And those shots are going to start to fall at some point. You know, they've hit a little bit of a lull here after a big 4-game home stretch. Got beat by a really tough team, a really good team last night that has a explosive point guard in their own right in Trayvon Evans. And so they're dealing with another one tonight who, quite honestly, is playing even better than the one they faced last night. Yeah. So not too bad of a job, but they got to find a way to slow him down. Maybe a box and one, a little bit more help sliding to him. And just a couple of times, too, you saw some of the low-post defenders and the forwards for the Mavericks not doing a good job of recognizing where he's coming off that screen and finding themselves going for their man as they're getting blown by down the lane by Brugman, who's made it look really easy. Like I said, does a good job of using his screens to utilize them, to get around him untouched, clean, and gets to the rim. And we all know how well he finishes so far. Yeah. But keep looking for more coming out of the Mavericks, getting more quality shots rather than the quantity they've been taking. And stop these 1, 2, possibly 3 pass possessions in a tough shot. I think keep at it what you're doing now. You found a little formula here down in the paint, and take that going forward. And that's honestly, a good thing to build on was that great stop there, that last possession push for that 3-ball to Krieger. So many positives, much more than last night, and got another 20 minutes, just got to finish.
And one of the things is they're not doing is they're creating turnovers and not giving the ball back to them, as they're doing a really good job also defeating. This is the best that we've seen them defeat that zone, and especially that 2-3 or that 2-1-2 that Southwest Minnesota State has been showing them.
Yeah, and in this day and age with the way you get film and how quick you can have it just like that, you know, it's a copycat thing, and that's almost in every sport now. They were, I'm sure, like I said, they're probably watching this film if they had an off night. They were watching this game live, and don't think that coaching staffs don't do that. They're impatient. They want film right now. So they're all over, and they saw what Sioux Falls did that really slowed down for the most part the bigs down low in Kirksey and Anderson, and did a good job of collapsing and shutting off those dribble drive penetrations from McLeod, Aaron Holson, that company. As we know, that's what they make a living down there doing. And they weren't making many threes. But tonight, they're doing a much better job. It's very simple. Get the ball moving faster, swing it, and you're going to get those openings. And now they're starting to slow it down and recognize this, and they're making good passes, good entry passes, and getting up there with opportunities at the line and also finishing.
And the big fellas are actually coming in quite big from deep, as Krieger had a big three-pointer to end that first half. And also he had one just before that. He's got 2 of his own. Kirksey's got 1 to chime in on himself, and that's something that I like to see right now, is the big fellas combined for 22 of the 48 points, and that's something that you desperately needed here tonight.
Oh, absolutely. It was lacking there last night. You see now Kirksey and Krieger both with 10 or 12 and 10 respectively. We finally got guys over in double digits now, and it's another good thing when you're playing a lot against a team that's giving you a lot of zone. Having those guys that can jump out and behind the arc and take those long range 16, 17-foot jump shots really makes them respect you and have to come out. And it's all about getting that motion and get them moving from the paint, because they know where their strength is. That is Minnesota State going to the rim with their bigs down low. Very athletic bigs at that. So those little things are really proving beneficial for them. And just got to keep making these open shots. They're getting those opportunities. They're knocking them down at a much better rate than they were last night. And moving ahead, they're doing a great job, and so far rebounded pretty well.
And it's finally nice to see that Minnesota State's got 2 scorers in double digits here so far, as the halftime score reads Minnesota State 48, Southwest Minnesota State 38. and we'll be right back with second half action.
Recent Minnesota State Mankato graduate Jacob Ball has a big idea: become a bilingual family physician serving rural America. As an honors student and varsity athlete, he studied Spanish, biology, and biochemistry. He also volunteered at a Mankato medical clinic and studied in Ecuador. He's now in medical school, one step closer to bringing his big idea to life. Big ideas, real world thinking. Minnesota State Mankato. Go further at mnsu.edu.
as we're just about ready to start second half action, as we're a couple minutes or about a minute away here. Jordan, what are some keys here for Coach Bigler and his squad to try to get back into this ball game?
Just got to keep going to your hot hand. I mean, that's quite simple because the Mavericks haven't really proven much of any kind of defense to stop Brugman as he figures out everything he needs to know when any defense comes up. So keep after it. You got to get more out of your bigs. I mean, for being so big down low and having that physical preference, you're still getting beat up a little bit by Kirksey and company down there, which is good for the Mavericks, but it really slows down your progression when you can easily get 2 out of your bigs, and they're going to the line quite a lot here. So just keep after it. And then for the Mavericks, got to get better ball movement. Take, like I said, again, get more quality shots rather than quantity here, as they've been falling victim to jacking up just quick shots. And like I said earlier, that leads to quick transition the other way. And that's where Brugman and company really are dangerous and at their most effective is when they get moving fast the other way, off-numbered 3-on-2, 2-on-1 fast break opportunities. Really hard to stop them in that. So slow that down, but keep the pressure on. They're playing great man defense. If they can find some half answer, if you will, to Brugman, they're going to be in good shape here and really can start to pull away. But if you keep it a couple possession game, I have a feeling Brugman is going to find a way to keep it within those couple of possessions if you allow it.
As Brugman had 24 in that first half, and I was just looking up, he had a career high against Minnesota State back on December 7th, which was the last time they played, and that was 36 points, as they proved, as that's a nice defensive play there to get the steal by Kirksey, as they're going to wave that off and say it was on the ground.
Yeah, that was a good job getting his hands in there, making him almost double dribble with it, and takes it away and gets a foul.
I mean, I don't know if that was the NBA and that was James Harden or LeBron James, they'd say, oh, he's already going up.
No, there's a Vegas point spread on that one.
And here is Anderson as he's getting his first looks of this first half. As here's Kirksey trying to draw something up for himself. Anderson, corner 3, no good. And they're going to call another foul on back-to-back plays here, as they got 2 early here for a team total for Southwest Minnesota State.
Looks like Nixon banged up his right arm again that he banged up last night near the end of that game, as he's opening and closing his hand there on his right arm. That's a tough go at it. Official asking if he needs to come out, and he does not.
And Nixon is one tough customer, as we saw him just back a little bit ago, banging up that, like you said, right wrist yesterday, and he didn't return to the ball game. He did it with about 13 minutes left, and that was fine. As here's Nixon, kicks it back out to McLeod. He's got nothing but time, but he bricks it.
A little too much time there, I think. Sometimes it's not good to have that time to think about it. One thing I noticed here of watching Bartlett there, when that ball gets dumped in, you can see his eyes go right over there. His back is almost completely turned behind him, and they need a little bit more baseline movement. You get a couple runners there once he gets it on that extended post. You can find some success there, but just not seeing it right now.
As here's Brugman against Krieger, and Krieger's just throwing his arms up in disbelief as Brugman got him to draw the foul, and Krieger still doesn't want to believe it.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I think that was some good acting there by Brugman. Definitely well-versed in drawing the call. Can't fault the guy.
I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to say anything whether or not he got the ball, because I really did not see it. As Brugman misses the first, and I think that might be the courtesy of the so-called J.J. Barea act.
That's funny that you bring up Jose Juan Barrera. I got a great basketball story. So this is in the mid-2000s, if I'm not mistaken. I think 2005 or 6. UVM men's basketball in the conference championship, America East, playing Jose Juan Barrera's Northeastern Huskies. And that will forever live in infamy with Vermont fans. That's McLeod. Nice take, finger roll to the basket. good job by Nixon getting back there. Jose Juan Barrera slugged forward. Martin Klemesh of the Vermont caught on ESPN 2 and all. Straight up jab right to the jaw of Martin Klemesh, and that is one thing I'll never forget. And it was just so funny to see him go on and have such a successful career, as everyone in the state of Vermont found him to be a villain. And I can tell you there was not many fans of his in the NBA living in that state.
No, that's a nice steal by Juwan McLeod. And I'll get to the story about you in a minute. For Berea was when he played with the Timberwolves for, I believe it was about 1 or 2 seasons back when we still had Caleb.
Right.
And you know, I brought one of my signs that says I'll trade Caleb for a bag of basketballs, but I mean, it is what it is. But Berea, they had him listed at 6 feet, and at the time, I was probably about, I don't know, 15, 16, so I was still about 5'9". As another steal here by Nixon, as he gets that one blocked by Byers, and that's a nice defensive play there by number 2 in white. But they had him listed at 6 feet. That dude couldn't have been any bit of 5'9".
Oh, absolutely. And he tormented the America East Conference for 4 years when he played there. He was one heck of a player, and quite obvious now that he ended up in the NBA and has played many great years for him and made a name for himself. But yeah, it's just so funny that you bring him up, because we all, like I said, we all have a small heart, a piece of our heart that does not like Jose Juan Barrera whatsoever.
It's just like Jason Terry for me. I just wasn't a fan.
Yeah.
I know the dude can shoot lights out. And that's a nice put back there. And way to follow the shot, young man.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't know if that was Nixon play on his own there, but that's what you get when, like I was saying, Bartlett in the backside forward and center. Oh, great hands by McLeod there to swat it away.
As that's the 4th consecutive turnover for Southwest Minnesota State. Bigler has had enough of that, and it's led to Minnesota State buckets, and they increase this lead here to 17.
And here it is. Here's the Minnesota State Mavericks team that we all know. We had a bad 60 minutes of basketball over today and last night, and their problems are fixed. Really great handsy defense, doing a great job of getting in front of Brugman. You saw on that previous possession, as we were talking about J.J. Barrera, you could see Brugman and his impatience with the lack of efficiency from the other guys. You heard him scream across the court, go back into the corner with the guy with the ball. And so those wagon wheels are now rolling in front of the actual wagon, as they are almost completely off, as we're almost to a 20-point lead here.
Brugman's game, I know this is a little bit of a bold statement, but it kind of reminds me a little bit of Allen Iverson in his ability to score the basketball as a point guard, and his pull-up game is probably one of the best you will ever see in Division II, with the consistency and the body control. I mean, nothing matches number 3. That 76ers, the Hall of Famer. I'm not saying it's a bold statement.
Right.
It's a very bold statement.
No, but I get what you're saying. You know, he's hitting them. He's smooth. He just has a high basketball acumen, obviously, and it's showing. He's knowing how to use it. And when, you know, he reminded me of an NFL quarterback right there, shouting to his play. He knows everyone else's job. Where, you know, it's basketball where there's only 5 guys and it all runs congruently. But he's telling guys to go back into the right position, and he doesn't even have the ball. So I mean, he's one hell of a player, and it shows. And, you know, unfortunately, sometimes when it works out with classes, you don't get stuck with enough talent around you. But there's still time here with 17 minutes left, down 17. Something can happen, and he'll be trying his damnedest, that's for sure.
And here's Brugman's pull-up jumper. That is a rare miss from mid-range.
Yeah, Minnesota State right now doing a great job of not playing so tight up on the man because they're knowing those screens are coming.
As that was a 3-2
right
zone,
there.
and
See Nixon looking for that opportunity.
And that jump hook there, the baby hook for Kirksey, is where he's making his living today.
Yeah, they found a recipe. If you were paying attention there at home, you saw Nixon floating around down below the basket, waiting for that defender to fully commit, and they didn't have his eyes on him, so he is ready to attack whenever needed. And that's their little bit of recipe for success. It's very simple basketball. Yeah, they almost got away with it there, but he definitely did get him on the left arm. I believe Kirksey.
And that'll send Grant Kramer to the line.
Excuse me, that was on Krieger.
And that's Krieger's third, as Markenthaler might have to pay a little bit of attention, and he does, in fact, go to his bench for Ehrenholz.
No, I like their plan of attack or return in this case with Krieger. I like how they've incrementally increased his minutes, and I don't know if they have a plan or they're just kind of going at it with some general idea of what they want to do. But you can see it's really kind of giving them those building blocks starting last night and then being able to build off of it. And he's having a great performance tonight, starting to finally see him back in his full swing form, if you will. And it's always tough in any sport, in any athletic competition. When you've been off for a while, there's nothing. That's a good job there, Nixon, fighting through that. And in the being off the court or off the field or whatever it may be for a long time, it's really being in that game shape. No matter what the sport, you really have to be out there a good day in, day out to stay in that shape. And only having practice reps, and I'm sure being monitored for his activity level with that hamstring, it slows you down. Your conditioning falls a little bit, your strength falls a little bit, and it just takes time. And he's doing a great job here over a night and a half of really getting back at it.
And that's a nice find there by Anderson, as he did a little bit of Patrick Mahomes there with the no-look pass, and he finds Ehrenholz for the corner three.
Mahomesing it, is that becoming a new term?
Well, it's just like Tebowing.
That's true.
How that was. I mean, I understand, you got faith, and I'm not going to discuss that on that because this is a free thing. And he wanted a piggyback ride there, did Kirksey, and he just kind of laughs right there.
I don't think I've ever seen quite like that. The crowd certainly getting a big kick out of it. He stuck right on him too. He didn't come off without the arms. That was quite funny.
And Braden Hansen, excuse me, got a little kick out of it too. He's like, who in the world is on my back?
He was trying so hard not to laugh.
So did Kirksey, but Kirksey came up with a smile on his face.
It's only funny now that it's only too personal.
Exactly. I mean, and you can't and that's another offensive board there, as Grant Kramer is going to go back to the line, and that foul will be on number 1, Jamal Nixon.
One heck of a fight by Kramer down there, battling between 4 people. This is a good little heads-up thinking there by McLeod. He saw all 5 of them were within arm's reach of the ball. You saw him back out to the shooter. That's good acumen there of knowing where you are and having the wherewithal again to see the floor and recognize a situation like that. Those are little things that the great players do, and he made a good little decision there, although irrelevant, but he would have been there if that was the case.
And that missed free throw there is brought down by Kirksey, and here's Jawan McLeod and company. And McLeod with an errant pass to Nixon. Anderson looking to the baseline drive, that's not there. And he'll turn and jump, and that one falls short.
See right there, they started that possession really well. Great ball movement, getting in fast, kicking back out, but then Anderson just started dribbling a lot and really allowed them to regain their composure defensively.
And here's Brugman, 3, no good. And another offensive board on back-to-back possessions for Southwest Minnesota State.
Great job by Ehrenholz stopping that. Great position and down low.
As you get some fans here cheering on the defense here for Minnesota State. And that 3 hucked up there by Lee won't fall.
Yeah, Markenthaler's really found a good combination here. He's found putting the bigger bodies, or the lankier bodies, on Brugman have really thwarted him. They doesn't give him that space, and they found that answer that I was talking about. They've really slowed him down here in the first 6 minutes of this second half.
As Jawan McLeod's got 15 to lead his team, and that's something that you like to see as McLeod's getting into that scoring column.
Yeah, I mean, before we went on break here, he was killing it night in, night out. But everyone can have a little lull. We're going to hit immediate timeout here. And, you know, he's getting back into form. And I don't know what it was. Sometimes you just have these things, but they're playing great Maverick basketball right now. And having Anderson or Krieger as the most recent guys to be guarding Brugman, it has been excellent. Great choice. Sure, he's a little bit quicker off that first step, but with the length of both those players, makes it really difficult to shoot that fadeaway when the hand's even closer to your face and closer to the ball. Harder to see the rim to get the shot up and over. And it's really proven pivotal so far. Doing another excellent job of getting around these screens. By backing off, giving a little bit of room, that makes it a lot easier for him to get up or down and under or up and over the screen, and that keeps them right in the face of these shooters. You know, they're really down to a one-man option here, as not one guy from the Mustangs consistently is making any shots other than Brugman, who has gone, excuse me, very cold here as of late. So they have found answers for everything so far in the second half, and it proves with a 22-point lead and looking to go up more here. It's just a great effort by the Mavericks in the second half, and the coaching staff has really found a great recipe, and they're cooking well in the kitchen right now.
And I just kind of like to see, as we'll see out of this timeout, Brugman going back to the line for shooting two. He's already shot 4 free throws, and he'll shoot his 5th and 6th attempts. He's got 25 as we kept him at bay here so far in the first 6 minutes of this second half. As he's had a couple pull-up jumpers, and since this half has started, he's gone 1 for 6.
Yeah, I think a lot of that's attributed to the defense by, as I said, Krieger and Anderson. They've just done a phenomenal job here of staying in front and not allowing them not to blow by you is the biggest thing, because like I've said multiple times now, is that they got that length, and they can recover with just that alone to make it a very contested jump shot. Don't get me wrong, Brugman's still going to make his shots, but as difficult as you can make them is where you want to be.
As he knocks both of them down, and he'll immediately come out and switch for his replacement Byers. And it looks like they're going to do a full court press here with down 20 with 14 minutes to go.
And I think that's a smart decision here. They got Aaron Holz, Quincy Anderson, and Carter Ash in the game. When you get in this pressure, you can get across the floor quick, and you're going to have those open 3 shooters. And so having those guys out on the floor that are really good at shooting the 3 ball, really making, you see the coaches calling for it. Move the ball quickly. If it's not there, get it going. Get them moving. Get them moving. Too much stagnation is not good against his own defense here.
And what I like right there, Nixon had a wide open 3, but he chose to pass the ball as Bumgardner's got 5 to shoot, and he'll just drive it, looking to dish, but gets the pass, and his jumper falls. That's not exactly what he had planned, but it works out anyway.
No, he had the right idea, but that was a good job by the low post defenders there for the Mustangs, closing that passing lane there.
As there's going to be a foul here on Aaron Holtz as he was trying to get grab there of Schaefer.
Yeah, got him with a hold away from the ball as he was cutting across the paint.
And that's his second, and Minnesota State's already got 6 fouls. The next one's going to put Southwest Minnesota State in the bonus for the rest of the game, and that's quite early. Byers, 3, no good.
Ooh.
And
there's a lot of contact there on Aaron Holtz. I'm surprised no loose ball was not called there.
And there's a lot of collision. That could have been a lot worse as Schaefer gets his 3 to fall. And as they continue to look to break this press, as it's a 1-2-2, and it's a very easy press to break, as Carter Ash wastes no time putting that one up, and he gets a
and that's exactly what I was talking about right there, and why those guys checked into the game when they did, because they saw him trap here just across the 3-point line, and one easy pass to a wide open Carter Ash, and the man knocks it down as he normally does. That's a great job breaking that press.
And Schaefer's jumper is known. That's a nice battle there by Kramer to get that loose ball, but he won't come up with it, and that's a turnover.
Yeah, good position by Anderson. Not quite able to fully corral it with both hands, but does enough to get it off.
So they got a man guarding Ash, as Quincy Anderson will just let that one fly but can't get that one to rattle home.
Yeah, that's a really good observation there, Brian. You know, that's a good answer to what they were doing. That really eliminates that low baseline runner as you have that one guy. That's a nice floater by Schaefer, finding the open spot there. Really eliminates that free baseline runner behind the defenders there and makes it difficult to get that low entry pass as we saw earlier.
Not only does it limit that baseline, man, it cuts off as Ash hits his second.
Exactly what he's been asked.
As Schaefer's caught fire with Brugman on the bench. And here's Ash yet again. And no siree, as he can't get that third consecutive one to fall.
Yeah, maybe a little greedy there. He was open, so why not?
Schaefer on fire, can't get that one to go home, and that's a nice board there by Quincy Anderson with Kramer to his back. And like I said, now they go back to that 2-3. As they were in that 1-1-3 zone, you don't really see that particularly often. Not many coaches run it. But like it eliminates, like you said, that baseline thing. But then it also puts that middle guy, he's guarded. So you can't really throw it in there and do something with it and rely on him to do something.
Yeah, really makes it very difficult for that low post.
And Mr. Quincy Anderson right on time. Yes, sir, may I have another?
Was not expecting that. I thought we were looking at a pass to the corner there, but unbelievable athletic play by the smaller Quincy Anderson with authority. Unbelievable.
As Quincy Anderson after that was flexing his muscles. Oh my, sir.
Yeah. Lost for words. I did not think he was going to get that second burst of elevation there, as we're going to see it right here. Unbelievable job. Bartlett had no chance of getting up and meeting that airtime as he slams it home.
I mean, I thought he was just going to lay it home and just hopefully get the and one, but inside he had different aspirations for that.
I don't think I can even do that in NBA 2K19. Like that was, yeah.
I don't think I could do that on an 8.5-foot hoop.
No. I'm talking 3 pieces of paper under my jump.
Well, I mean, I can dunk on a 9-foot hoop. 9.5 is a little bit questionable, and keep in mind I'm 5'11" and I haven't really worked on my vertical all that much.
The hoop that would work for me is the one they strap on Stomper's back at halftime. The little Tykes plastic hoop.
You remember those little, those Fisher type basketball hoops?
The ones you destroy on the back of your parents' door of your bedroom?
No, not those ones that you hang on the door. It's like a little, it goes up to like 4 feet and you got little kids, like, you see, like if you ever watch like little kids shoot the little plastic hoops that stand like 3-4 feet, you can get them up. I remember me and my brother would have those ones in our basement. Our basement was very narrow.
Yep.
And we'd constantly play pig. And my brother's 5 years older than me, so it kind of teaches you, you got to man up a little bit, but like, still that doesn't take in the fact that, it's you're the younger brother, so whenever you don't get something going your way, you kind of throw a fit.
Hey, unfortunately, I didn't have an older brother, but I have a younger one, and the older brother is always responsible for giving you those real life lessons of not getting beat.
Truth?
You're going to let you know the real world, what it's like before you're even there.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, it
More
teaches you
people
to be
need
a little
an older
tough.
brother.
Yeah, well, my dad grew up with 6 older brothers, so he kind of got taught that responsibility the tough way, and he was kind of thrown into the situation. But it's just kind of nice to see, the game where it's kind of, lackadaisically, but Quincy Anderson taking that hard to the hole is not something you see quite often, and I kind of like it.
No, and that's why I said I was completely shocked by it.
And
just
Anderson
not able.
blows that one.
Yeah, that's a bit of an errant pass up high. Took him a little too long. Ooh, I don't know about
Brugman will leave that for Kramer. Kramer one dribble to the left, and that jumper won't go. And that's a nice foul. That's a good quality foul there by Bumgardner.
Yeah, took the words right out of my
Hansen
mouth.
had that easy 2-point bucket, but he'll go to the line and shoot in 2.
I thought Brugman got away with a little bit of a walk there before he got that ball down, but what do I know?
Yeah.
Not a whole lot. If it's not football or athletics, don't ask me much. Why do you think I'm behind the microphone of a sports game?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, you're 27?
Oh, I guess, but it's because I'm good looking.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I got the face for radio. You got the face for TV.
You mean vice versa, right?
No.
It reminds me like an old Wayne's World movie right now where they think the guy's really good, handsome Dave in the movie, and they go show up at a radio station. The dude who's not quite on the handsome side is behind the mic. And any of you that know that Wayne's World reference, I hope you're laughing quite hard now like I am inside my head.
And one of my favorite lines is from Wayne's World is when they're playing hockey in the street.
Yes.
Go, car, game on.
Oh, too funny.
It's just one of those classic movies.
Man, a lot of contact down there. They're just not calling it. I mean, Coach Margenthaler, I think, is a little keen on contact below the basket, as we saw last night. But
I think if you're below the basket, there should be allowed like some contact. I mean, you can't just let them, those ticky-tack fouls just kind of keep going. But at the same time, you got to allow them to play their game.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. It's just like in an open gym. You call it when it's egregious.
I mean, some people would say that, others won't.
Oh, we know those type that call everything to make up for their inefficiencies in their basketball game at open. Oh, it looked like McLeod almost got a piece. He may have.
And Brugman throws that one back in. He's got 28.
He just doesn't quit now, does he?
No, he does not.
I mean, if the ball's on the floor, his head is going, or his body is moving towards it quite quickly. He stepped on the sideline. Those are just those things, you know, hate to sound like I'm harping on it, but those are the things right there. Just get back into the rhythm. Know where you are in the court. That you can't have those things. I know we're in a good spot right now, up 17, but things can change quickly, and that's just an easy giveaway that's easily corrected.
As Brugman has got 29, they have it wrong up here on the board. But also at the same time, I'm not going to say anything about it because we're way too far away. And Brugman's corner 3, that is a turnover as that one goes over the backboard.
Yeah, he's still finding his opportunities inside the paint, and I think Minnesota State's happy to give him that. 2 is a lot better than 3 straight threes, as we've seen here at a couple of points here. You make him take those contested three-point shots like you just did from the corner. You're going to live with that if he makes it because you know you did all you can to make it the hardest shot.
Yeah, and he's 0 for 3 from beyond the arc, so you're not really too worried from him making one deep. Is that just mid-range game is something that you just got to keep your lookout for.
And he's a fighter. If he misses it, he's literally following that shot right away.
And he'll leave that one for Schaefer, and Schaefer knocks down the 3 ball.
And that's all done by Brugman right there. How quickly he pushed the ball up the court. He made 2 defenders flip their hips to guard him, and then he was able to recognize that and kick it out quickly.
As Kirksey will put that one back home, and Kirksey's got 17.
Yeah, Kirksey kind of, jeez.
Right on cue. 31 mid-range jumper, exactly what you expect from Brugman.
Can't keep a good man down for that long, and he's not quitting. He's finding any way he can to help this team stay in it. He's got it down to a 14-point game now.
Good, and this is exactly what I wanted to see, is they got it into that box as Ehrholtz corner 3. Good over Schaefer.
And great execution there. Get the ball down low, quick touch, nothing there. One outlet pass back to the top of the key, swing it, and find the open man.
Here's Hansen's 7-foot jumper, no good. Brugman in the corner with a shot fake, nothing there. Schaefer again, nothing. And that'll be tipped out by Kramer out of the hands of Anderson.
I know Southwest Minnesota State's looking for a turnover there, but they're lucky they didn't get called with a foul on the back of the arm. At least from my angle, it looked like he made contact.
Yeah, Again, that's a ticky-tack foul. I mean,
I know, but that's what I'm saying is that they got that instead of the foul. So
maybe he realized it as soon as he was making the call and just
Yeah.
say, hey, okay, I missed one. I'll just give you the ball back.
Right.
But we all know that's not how that goes.
Oh, there's always makeup calls in every sport.
So you think, and maybe it's just timely.
That's true. That's a very valid point. I know, as being a coach in football for a good handful of years, you always feel like it's a makeup. They kind of look at you after the play. Yeah.
As Kirksey's really disgusted with that.
I don't know
Foul
quite
there.
understand what he's arguing. I mean, he had his great position on the box out, and he really just tried to lunge over him.
As he had his hand on the shoulder there.
Yeah.
And I believe that, yeah, exactly. That's going to be Dufault going to the line. And I thought it was on Brugman for a minute because for a while there, Brugman was taking Kirksey.
Yep.
And they got it into that low block, but I guess it was Dufault. So Dufault's going to the line for a 1-and-1. And he makes the first one, which is nice because now they're just going to shoot 2 free throws the rest of the way.
No, it's a 16-point game, but this has been a little bit difficult. It's starting to become somewhat of a factor here, being in the bonus so quickly.
Exactly. And Anderson gets that one knocked out of his hands, and he's still smiling, saying that he got fouled.
I think he's smiling about exactly what I'm thinking is that how many times they were right there. It's just one pass away from being a wide open three. How many times it's been deflected? And he's just laughing because it's quite a good job by the Mustangs of making it difficult on that pass.
A nice drive there by McLeod as he gets it.
Wow.
And Kirksey's put-back dunk is good.
He's like, let's just put it through with both hands.
My. That's a James Harden step back right there, except for the 4 extra steps he didn't take.
This is true. Ice cold from beyond the arc now from this half. Quite difference and on the opposite side of what they were in the first half there. Struggling are them, and they're shooting now just 25% from the three-point arc to Minnesota's 37.5. Still not necessarily the greatest on both sides, but that's a big difference there for Minnesota State after their performance last night.
As with 3 to shoot, here's McLeod from the wing, and that won't fall. Brugman being chased, finds Dufault, and can't use the glass on that one. That's kicked out by Kirksey.
Yeah, that was a good job there. They made the right decision, in my opinion, of giving as much pressure on Brugman as possible, and he made a heck of a pass to get it out there, but a shot by Dufault just not meant to be.
And the Mustangs are 5 of 17 from 3, which is just about 22%. And it was Taylor Schaefer. That one, you look at it briefly and you're like, oh, you want to say Taylor, and whatever. But Taylor Schaefer has got 3 of the 4 made 3-point buckets from beyond the arc. And that's someone you got to continue to look at. Is he shooting 50%?
And, you know, Brugman is given a lot of opportunities there to multiple guys outside on the kick-out passes, as he does a great job at getting the ball, getting a rebound, and pushing. He's got a high motor with that ball, and he gets it right up the floor, and it really creates great opportunities for them. But unfortunately for Ryan, they just haven't been able to cash in on him, and he's made a really great passes, but unfortunately not having the supporting cast around him tonight to knock down those shots to really keep him in the game, as they've opened it up to a 19-point spread now.
And Kirksey's a rebound away from getting a double-double, as he's got 19 and 9 so far, as he faces Kramer, and Kramer's fadeaway jumper in the lane is good.
I'm surprised. I know they're down big here in the late going, just under 5 minutes left, but I'm really surprised that they've stayed in this pressure as much as they have. It's really been unsuccessful for them, and I think personally has allowed Minnesota State to pull away here. They've really put on the points and done a great job of scoring off of these breaks here. Really been more of a detriment than a help.
As Kramer's there jump shot on a wide open, like not even a guy within 3 feet, as Kirksey will drive and they're going to say it's on the ground, and I believe he's going to the line for 1-1.
Yeah, I do believe that will
and
be
there it
the
is.
bonus.
Yep, they're in the bonus. So that'll send Kirksey to the line, and it's immediate timeout with 4:25 to go remaining in this game here tonight. And by all means, is this one far from over? But the Mavericks have got a 17-point lead, and it's very comfortable if you're Coach Matt Morgenthaler.
Night and day is what's coming to my mind compared to last night. I know I'm dwelling maybe too much on the past, but that was just such an uncharacteristic performance last night. And tonight they've come out tenfold better defensively. And what I think is really impressive the most is the implementation of these different schemes to combat what the Mustangs are doing and really shut down what is working for them by the staff, and then the players being able to really go out and execute it at a very high level. And like I was just speaking of their press break there, doing a great job in the second half and then late in the first half of having much better ball movement, creating much better open looks and not settling for open corner threes because that's what was there, but getting quality shots all over the floor, good touches in the low and high post, really making those post defenders for the Mustangs work a bit harder and getting open shots and converting at a much higher percentage tonight as they are shooting a good 47%, almost 50% on the night from the floor. And the three ball at 36%, they've taken 25 of them and converted on 9. So not too bad, not too great, but just enough to really keep a good solid distance on them.
And one of the things is this game, you're probably going to agree with me on this. This game could have been a lot closer, as when you say Bregman and the dribble drive and dish out, and that first free throw there for Kirksey's good. This game could be a lot tighter. I'm talking single-digit game, as they've had quite a bit to go off of, as they've missed a lot of open shots.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I was saying, that's in part to that man, number 3, Ryan Bruggen, for the Mustang. He's given opportunities out there, but hasn't had the other half of it finished for him.
And here is Lee as that corner 3 falls, and that lead is 16. 85-69 with 4 minutes remaining here, and this is a different Minnesota State team here that we are seeing this evening, and that's a
Beautiful.
nice backdoor cut there by Kirksey with the team high 23.
Beautiful job there by the whole team, spreading the floor, making them stay in retreat, trying to get back to position, and able to find an open cutter on the baseline was Aaron Holz, and a beautiful finish by Kirksey.
And there is Schaefer, and there it is, the double-double for Cameron Kirksey, as that's his 10th board. And maybe if I was him, I'd say, hey, I can come out now.
Yeah, this is a great little job here offensively, scoring for the Mavericks, as we got 3 guys, McLeod with 15, Kirksey with 23, and Krieger with 12, and Aaron Holz dropping another 3 on that, and that brings him to 9, and we got Quincy Anderson and Aaron Holz both with 9, so looking like by the end of this we could have 4 guys in double figures, which is huge, as this big 90-point output tonight by the Mavericks. As
Nixon and Bumgarner are waiting to come in, and there's a foul on Brugman as he's got 31, and that's his 3rd foul, as that'll send Anderson to the line here, and Bumgarner and Nixon will come into the game for Krieger and McLeod. And I gotta say this, a little bit of a quiet game here that we haven't mentioned on Jamal Nixon's part.
Yeah, and
8.7 boards, and he's got 3 assists.
Yeah, it's a lot of what I was talking about earlier. He hasn't had to be a guy to step up and fill any kind of spot per se, and I'm not saying that as if he's played poorly. Playing rock solid defense, finding opening lanes to get to the rim and make great opportunities from the free throw line. But your big 3, Kirksey, Anderson, and Krieger, and then of course the likes of Bumgarner and Aaron Holz dropping in a quality effort tonight, as well as Quincy Anderson, for a matter of fact. And he's really just had to stay aggressive on defense and play good all-around basketball, and that's what you need from a guy like him. So a lot of teams, you'll see, have one solid defender. You need to stop. He's going to be a guy to go make it happen. And yeah, he's just really doing his part and then not doing too much or too little.
And here's Bumgarner's three, and that's off the mark, brought down by Kramer looking to push.
Yeah, I don't know if he's really, Coach Margenthaler is really pleased with that, as there's 14 seconds left on the shot clock, and you're chucking up a deep three ball there with 2.5 left. I know it could and probably will be minuscule in the final outcome of this, but nonetheless, that's just not needed.
Yeah.
You can do a lot. You get a lot more out of that in a good look inside and get a little bit more clock off than just chucking up a three ball.
As the leads to 22, and here comes Frankie Mack, Paris Parham, and Quincy Anderson, as all the starters will come out. And apparently what I like to see here is Frankie Mack getting some action. I mean, I don't understand why he doesn't get a lot of action as he shoots lights out from three.
Yeah, and you'll have a lot of those guys. There will be a lot of situational three-ball shooters for the Mavericks, as we got multiple guys that can step up and do it, you know. And I think that's a lot that can be attributed to maybe not being where they need to be. He's still a young sophomore here in Frankie Mack, and, you know, he's a great shooter, got a good touch, good stroke and all that. But, you know, there's definitely more facets. Of course, I speak of it and it happens, you know. He's definitely got to develop more on the defensive side. Maybe not athletically there or strength-wise where he needs to be to compete day in, day out at this Division II level. And, I mean, you look at guys like Quincy Anderson Jamal Anderson and Kevin Krieger, guys that are just built and very athletic and very strong and built for the long haul. And I don't mean that as a knock on Frankie Mack, because he's still a very young player for the Mavericks, but he's got another whole offseason of training here, and we have a great strength training program here for all these athletics, and he'll get stronger and hopefully be able to pick up more on the defensive side, because it's good being a shooter all, but if you're only making them and then giving them right back, you're really not doing a whole lot. So he's got plenty of time to develop, and I think he'll develop into a fantastic player for the Mavericks over the next few years that will really help step in and fill some shoes of graduating players here.
As the lead is 23 with 1:45 to go, as this one's pretty much in the bag for Matt Margenthaler and company, and this will bring Minnesota State's record to 12-4 with a conference record of 8-2, and then this will make Southwest 8-8 with a conference record of 3-7. And that is something that you don't really want to see here early on with a conference record of 3-7 if you're Southwest.
Yeah, you know, for them it's unfortunate they don't quite have the full arsenal of players they need. They got a couple of pieces down low that help in defensively, but there's just not too much more that is able to contribute at a high level like Brugman, number 3 there, who's had a fantastic night in its own right, and it's really played to the best of his ability and gave them all the opportunities they could possibly ask for. But unfortunately, just not enough to overcome this powerful output tonight by the Mavericks, as they are 4 points away from being at the century mark. And they've done a great job. And make that 1 point away from the century mark now, as they've just been clicking on all cylinders here in the second half, defensively shutting down Byers, Brugman, and Schaefer here in the second half, and hitting on all cylinders, firing on all cylinders. Great poke from behind, good lob pass from Frankie Mack, and an even better finish by Baumgartner. They've just done it all, and right there puts them over the century mark, and that's a tough feat in college basketball to hit the 100 mark, and the Mavericks have been able to do it.
As Byers' contested jumper is no good, and they still got 30 seconds left on this shot clock here, as Minnesota State has put up 53 points here in this second half, and that'll take an easy victory as they're up 29. But as we take a look here right before we go, Wayne State defeated Upper Iowa in a close one, 85-81 in Nebraska. And then as we take a look, Minnesota Duluth is beating Minot State. They will end up going on to beat that one, as there's only 2 seconds left in the second half. St. Cloud State defeats University of Mary by 2. And Winona State defeats Augustana 82-65. And the final here is Minnesota State 101. Southwest Minnesota State 72. As that 29-point victory is huge, coming off from a disappointing outing last night. And as we kick it right back to commercial, as you are watching men's basketball here on the NBN Network.
Recent Minnesota State Mankato graduate Jacob Ball has a big idea: become a bilingual family physician serving rural America. As an honors student and varsity athlete, he studied Spanish, biology, and biochemistry. He also volunteered at a Mankato medical clinic and studied in Ecuador. He's now in medical school, one step closer to bringing his big idea to life. Big ideas, real-world thinking. Minnesota State Mankato. Go further at mnsu.edu.
Welcome back to Breslin Arena as your Minnesota State men's basketball Mavericks take it 101-72 over Southwest Minnesota State. And Jordan, the biggest key here was the double-double by Cameron Kirksey.
Yeah, absolutely. They finally got back to what they were doing after a little bit of a lull there over the first 60 minutes of last night and then the first 20 minutes of tonight. They got back to Maverick basketball, had great low-post offensive attack. McLeod was finding his way down the lane again, converting, getting to the line. Just a great job offensively by having multiple players in double digits and really contributing from many bench players. Carter Ashe coming in when they first started that press, hitting big threes there, really getting a 6-point spread there. And then other guys contributing. They did a great job that whole second half of really defeating that pressure. Like I said, I was really surprised how long Southwest Minnesota State decided to stay in it, for the fact that the Mavericks were getting a lot of great looks and capitalizing. They played stellar defense, boy, and you said it to me while we were on break there. Brugman had 7 points that whole second half and really took a back burner role, and the Mavericks forced someone else to step up and defeat them, and no one had the ability like Brugman did to do so, and they really shut them down offensively and didn't give them much to work with there. That was just a great job. The adjustment from playing against the 2-3 zone, finding the right ball movement pattern, getting it to the guys, a couple swing passes, then the 1-3-1, dumping it down in and then kicking it back out, finding the open 3-ball shooter and Aaron Holes and other guys, and Carter and other guys that contributed out through the night from the 3-point line and able to knock it down. You know, the big men and Anderson and Kirksey being able to extend their game and make those mid-range jump shots there really helped stretch out that defense and make more open in lanes. And by the end of it, the Mustangs really had no answer for it, as it was a stellar performance. One thing that stands out to me here is that the Minnesota State Mavericks had a lead for 32 and a half minutes of the possible 40 minutes in that game. So they were in control most of the, quite honestly, literally almost 95% of the game here. And that's just huge, being able to stay ahead, playing with a lead, and able to stay aggressive with the lead and to create the big separation they had there. And the largest score lead was at the final score, 101-72, as they almost got it out to a 30-point lead there. And they just did a great job all around today.
One of the things I'd like to say was that they had a little spell there, Minnesota State did, on the defensive side, where they got 4 straight turnovers just on steals alone.
Yep.
and 2 coming from McLeod, Kirksey, and then you got 1 from Krieger, and that alone just shifted the whole entire game in that second half.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's a big change of events right there, especially if you go down and when you go down and score. That's a tough run, an 8-point swing, potentially more in that instance. Could just really, I mean, have you reeling and not on your game, you know. And they just did a great job of Brugman. And I said it too, that the matchup they changed here and put in Anderson and Krieger on him really made it really difficult. Sure, he was able to get a little first step and maybe get by him, but the length really made up for it. And he's not able
100%.
not able to take those mid-range jump shots as he was against Aaron Holtz and McLeod. And not that they weren't staying with him, but there's certainly a size difference, as we all know, between Anderson, Krieger, and Aaron Holtz and McLeod. And that length, being able to get the hand up in the face, that just made it really difficult. And we saw how many times he tried to force up a very tightly contested 3 ball and just wasn't on the mark. He gave plenty of opportunities to his teammates on some kick-out passes, very nice ones at that, I must add. But the defense, stout and aggressive, and you said it, 4 steals in a row, tight coverage on the playmaker, slacking off on the screens to get around them defensively. Just a phenomenal job, and you got to be happy to be right on path. And that's why I said last night's game certainly wouldn't define them, and I think this is what defines them, coming back after a poor performance, turning it into a dominating performance tonight against Southwest Minnesota.
Exactly. And one of the things is we've always harped on this the entire season was the free throw shooting.
Yes.
As they shot 79% from the line, 15 for 19, and that alone was huge. I know the game was a blowout, but even then, you shoot 79% when your team regularly shoots 71.
Right.
And that still in itself is very big.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sure Coach Margenthaler, is going to want a little bit more of that mid to high 80s is probably ideal, getting into the even nitty-grittier of this conference play here in the NSIC. But, you know, it's one thing you got to have that as a team that likes to go to a basket a lot, give a lot of touches under the basket. You got to have that. You got to be able to connect on those free throws at a very large percentage of where they are tonight, and even higher, obviously. And, you know, that's pivotal in this game. And when you're not making those free throws at a high percentage and you're getting to the line a lot and you're not getting the and one play, it makes it very difficult. And maybe not makes it difficult, but allows the opposing team to stay within striking range. Yeah. And thank God it did not come down to striking range, because Brugman would have been able to figure out a way, I think. But they did a great job defensively, came out strong, made great adjustments at the exact right time, really thwarted any progress or excitement that the Mustangs had going there, and just solid performance start to finish there. And you got to be happy now going into another stretch of a couple road games and being back here.
Well, yeah, we're back here next weekend, the 18th and 19th. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be here that Saturday, as I do have a little bit of festivities to go to due to family events. So we are back home next week, and next Friday's game is against Minnesota Duluth at 7:30, and then the Saturday game is 5:30 tip here inside Breslin Arena against St. Cloud State. And my partner, Jordan O'Grady, I know will do a heck of a job on the mic for that one. As we all know that you can talk, my friend. That is one thing you have been blessed with.
The gab, that's for dang sure. No doubt about it.
The final score here, your Minnesota State University Mavericks 101, Southwest Minnesota State 72. Thank you for tuning in to another stream of men's basketball here on the NBN Network.
Go Mavericks.